The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Howdy ho, everybody. Come to you cordless. It's Tuesday night, December 16th, 2025. It's 1 minute past 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States and a minute after 6 p.m. on the West Coast. And here where I'm sitting in Northeast Minneapolis, it's 8:01 Central Time, and you you are looking live at me. I am Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 303. Mark your scorecards. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, so I'll tell you what the deal is. On Saturday, I think I mentioned this on Monday. On Saturday, the high in Minneapolis was 4 below, and that's not any mamby-pamby. Uh, uh, what's that called? Wind chill. Yeah, no, not that. No, that was the actual temperature. The high was 4 below. Today, it was 44 degrees. Who can figure it out? And the really weird thing is I'm cold. I don't know. I can't explain this. I can't explain this at all. But it's just the body acclimates in weird ways, especially mine at my age. Our guest tonight is Gregory Wrightstone, and he's his second appearance on the show. He's a geologist. He's a best-selling author. He wrote the book Inconvenient Facts on climate change in 2018. That was a #1 bestseller. And he's also the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. And I bet you can probably guess what this is about, because if you know me, I have two real passions here doing the show. And one is the fact that I want to tell the public that climate change is an enormous, gigantic hoax. And he does too. And the thing is, and the reason I asked him on is because in the last 6-8 weeks, all of a sudden, it seems like people are, after years and years of him and others and Patrick Moore and Michael Schellenberger bitching about this, people are finally starting to get this through the head all of a sudden. I asked him in the interview, we taped this afternoon, about if there was any tipping point here, and he said maybe it was Bill Gates coming out around October, November, and saying that, that climate change is not going to be the end of the world, and that might be, I don't know if that's it or not, but since then, a whole bunch of other organizations and people have started to kind of say the same thing and are walking it back, and which is good, because the problem is there's no real truth to this at all. They're saying the science is settled. Well, the science is settled. You made the science up. Nothing in science says this should happen. Nothing. And so it was one gigantic, enormous lie. And as far as I can tell, it was basically to make money. That's as far as I can tell. So he's joining us in a few minutes. Tomorrow night, we got a double show. We got double shows both tomorrow and Thursday night. That's a double. For those of you who are not, ethnically aware like I am, that's Spanish. Double. Tomorrow, Julian Hagman's joining us. He's a chief operating officer of Caring Professionals Incorporated, and he's going to be talking about some of the stuff that is going on in the state of New York, which is not pretty. And Governor Hochul has a lot of, I keep wanting to call her Hoja, that's the former premier of Albania, but that's not her name. I had Peter Limage on last week or the week before, and the reason I had him on, he's running for Secretary of State in Connecticut. That's not the reason I had him on. Matter of fact, I don't know if you ever noticed this, I have virtually no candidates or sitting elected politicians on the show ever. And the reason is, as a general rule, all they do is lie. That's the reason. It doesn't matter what party they're from, they're going to lie to get elected. I'm not interested in talking to them. But I had Peter on. I made an exception because he is an Albanian refugee, and so is my family. Because up before 1992, Albania was the single most communist country, most severe extreme communist country on the planet. That's the reason. And their leader was Enver Hoxha, kind of like the Mao Zedong of Europe. But yeah, anyway, that's why. Anyways, we're so back to what I was talking about. Julian Hageman's going to be our guest for the first half tomorrow night, and Corinne Clifford is not only making her second appearance on the program. I'm making her regular because I just find her so delightful. She's a White House reporter. She's regularly in the White House press room every day. Even though she works independently, she does not work for an organization anymore. I can't remember who she was with, but she's had a storied career. But at any rate, she's what my generation used to call a pistol, and I like talking to her. So she's here for the holidays. So she's going to be on tomorrow too. And Thursday, we also have another double show. Leslie Corby's going to be joined. Leslie Corby is going to join us again. It's her second appearance on the show because she had a new book come out on October 21st. And I think we booked her, I think it was on the 23rd, and something came up and she couldn't make it at the last minute. Excuse me. And therein lies the problem with doing this type of program. When you're going to have so many guests on, things get screwed up. I've said this before. Doing the show, talking to you and talking to the guests is, relatively speaking, the easy part. The hard part is booking the guests. That's the tough part. Because, I mean, we're right from okay, so this is our 303rd show, and I figure we've probably had on 303rd show, we've had roughly at least 400 guests, if not 450, 460. So, it's of course, some of those people is not, we have often like Leslie and Corinne, we have the same people on more than once, but still, but that's the big deal here. And also, so our double show on Thursday, we have Leslie on the first half. She's delightful too. I love talking to her. She just, there are very few right-wing poets. That's all I'm going to say. So if you want to hear one, tune in on Thursday. And also Santa's joining us on Thursday. It's our last show before Christmas, so Santa's coming on. We've had Santa on. We have Santa on I try to book him on once a quarter because I always thought what's really interesting about Santa is what he's not doing when he's during not the holidays, when he's out, like what does he do in July? Are they already working? Does he take a vacation? Anyway, so he comes on every now and then, and he makes a good appearance. I think he's going to be joining us by phone only this time, not camera. But he's been on camera. He comes on, and he looks like Santa. That's Thursday, and then we're taking 2 weeks off. We're going to come back on Monday, January 5th. So yeah, that's the schedule here. So here in 12 seconds, Gregory Wrightstone is going to join us. This is really important. After that, part 2 of the show, you can see the banner down here. See, we're taking phone calls. Now, we're running the banner early. We're not going to take, the phone lines aren't going to open until the interview's done. So because we tape the interviews in the afternoon, and we tape, even though the show is live. Yes, I'm here. I'm actually sitting here. It's 8:08 right now, Central Time. Even though we do the show live, we tape the interviews mostly for technical reasons. People have all sorts of troubles connecting with a camera, microphone. Actually, believe it or not, sound is usually more the problem than the camera. Because the wonderful people at Microsoft who designed Windows, the videos plug and play, but the sound is a mess. I don't know if you know anything about this, but sound in Windows is just a travesty, and people screw it up all the time. But anyway, yeah, that's the reason we do it. We tape the interviews ahead of time to make certain that we don't waste your time. So anyway, in 12 seconds here, you're going to hear from Gregory Wrightstone. Stay tuned, please. Joining us from his home in Tampa, Florida, geologist and executive director of the CO2 Coalition, Gregory Wrightstone. Gregory, thanks for coming back. Always love to talk to you.
Yeah, good to be back on with you. It's a balmy 72 degrees here in Florida. Most of the nation is freezing in single digits or low double digits.
Well, I have to tell you, it was 2 days ago. It was the high here was 4 below zero, and today the high is 44. So
wow,
and it's and I don't think any of that has to do with climate change at all. Do you?
Not a bit. That's called weather.
That's right. It's called weather.
Yeah. You know what's funny? They
what
they tell us that they know confidently within 1/10 of 1 degree what the temperature will be in the year 2100, but they couldn't get that right within probably 5 or 10 degrees 2 weeks ago.
That's
What you
correct. That's correct.
experienced.
You're absolutely right. A friend of mine brings this up. 20 years ago, we couldn't predict. 20 years ago, we couldn't predict the weather was shit. I mean, it was like they were guessing. Now we're a little better at it, but yeah, no, it's yeah. I think the technical term for that is bullshit, Gregory. I can say that we're not, this is we don't have FCC rules we have to follow here. So
All right, I'll let you say those bad words.
those bad words. That's all right.
My granddaughter's not here to hear it, so you're okay.
Okay,
You're off
good.
the hook.
That's good. If she was here, I'd stop. So thank you for
Okay.
doing that. Thank you. So we had the COP30 climate summit in Brazil a few weeks ago, and this is pretty much the reason I want to have you on is because this is very sudden. In like the last 2 months, all of a sudden, finally, the world is starting to get a clue that maybe this is all just scientific crap.
It is, and it's coming quickly. I've been predicting this for some time. I've been an optimist for many years and growing more so with each passing year, and especially over those last 6, 9, 12 months, we've seen a real movement away from climate alarmism. And really, like you say, the last 30 to 45, 60 days, boy, it's been something with Bill Gates probably the number one person coming out and saying, you know what, I've been wrong about this. Is there a climate change problem? Yeah, but a bigger problem is that we need to take care of the people that are out there, the people that what we're doing is harming the poorest among us. We need to help them and not harm them. And he's coming out against that. And he's not the only one. There's some other notable people. And the New York Times even last week came out and said that uh, that our side, the skeptical community's voice is growing, and now we're the dominant voice out there of realism about talking about climate, what's really happening. And I knew as a scientist, I knew in my heart of hearts that the truth would win out. And I knew it would because sooner or later, they couldn't keep silencing us forever. Although they did a pretty damn good job, didn't they? But they've been silencing me and my colleagues, the CO2 Coalition. We're some 200 of the top scientists and experts in the world that take a skeptical view and don't buy into this man-made climate crisis notion. And and they've been silencing us pretty effectively. But now we're getting our voice out there. Our chairman, Will Happer, he and Dick Lindzen, two of the preeminent physicists of our time, were just on with Joe Rogan 2 weeks ago. 20, 30 million people watched the two of them speaking sensible science and telling the truth. And so we're getting this message out there, thanks to you, Jim, and some of the work you and others are doing to get this information out there. It's really an honor. I think the work that we're doing and some others have contributed to this because we preach at the CO2 Coalition, we stick with the science. We try and stay out of the politics as best we can, although it's difficult, and stick to the science. And we believe the science will win the day, and it is winning the day.
Gregory, let me ask you. I don't think I asked you this the last time you were on. Of the 200 and so scientists in your coalition, like the data, based on the data I've seen, and I'm not a scientist, but I'm probably a fairly well-educated layperson. I don't think there's any appreciable effect of humans on climate based on what I've seen. But I know that there are some scientists who think there's a minor.
Yeah, we're there. We're with you. We believe that.
Yeah.
Sure,
So
of course.
my question was, what percentage of the people in your coalition? How do you guys? Where are you? On that? What percentage of you think there's a little bit, and what would think there's none?
Well, I think nearly everyone in our coalition. There might be some outliers. We all admit that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas and has a warming effect. It just does. That's pretty much a given. It's just not very much of a warming effect.
Right.
And it's overwhelmed. It's the natural forces that's the main driver of temperature. What are those natural forces? Probably solar activity is the predominant one. Clouds have a lot to do with it. And
Well, Patrick Moore explained to me there's the Russian scientist, I can never remember his name, starts with an M, about the effect of the Earth's revolution around the sun and the
yeah,
water. Thank
Milankovitch
you very much.
cycles.
Thank you. Yeah, right. That's considered a pretty prominent thing, right?
Yeah, but those Milankovitch cycles are on the order of 41,000 or 100,000 year cycles. They dominate the really big movements from
Uh-huh.
glacial advances where it'll be 15 or 18 degrees centigrade colder during those periods, during those glacial advances. And now we're in an interglacial period that's thankfully it's warm, because you would not want to be here with the glacial advance. Boston and most of Canada would be under hundreds or thousands of feet of ice. And Donald Trump would have to build the border wall on our northern border to keep the Canadians out, because they wouldn't be able to. They're not going to be able to. There won't be many Canadians living in Canada when that next ice age comes, and it's going to be brutal for everybody around the world, and it will occur. There's not much we can do about it. So we should, one of my favorite topics is to relate human history to climate history. And we find that throughout human history, going back to the first great civilizations, the first ones that rose up were the Babylonians, the Hittites, the Assyrians, the Harappan Empire in the Indus River Valley of India. Those great civilizations all rose up during what was called the Minoan warm period. It was a lot warmer than it is today, a lot warmer. Life was good, food was bountiful. And it was the cold period that followed it. It was the late Bronze Age collapse that led to the collapse of all of those empires and civilizations within perhaps 50 or 100 years, all related to cooling, not to warming. And we see that time and again. It didn't get better until the Roman warm period, again, a hot period. There's a reason the Romans wore togas. It was hot. And life was good, food was bountiful. And again, when it started getting cold again, that led into the Dark Ages, which were horrific. Crop failure, famine, pestilence, and mass depopulation. And so we see human history tells us that we should welcome the warmth and fear the cold. And so while Al Gore and John Kerry might call me a science denier or climate science denier, I would call them history deniers, because they're denying what history tells us. History tells us that warmer periods have always been hugely beneficial to the human condition, and it's the cold periods that have been, like I said before, they're horrific.
Well,
horrific.
Gregory, I'm going to be very blunt here. You would call them history deniers. I would call Kerry and Gore idiots. That's what I would call them. Matter of fact, I was even thinking about this while I was researching to see you today. I think at this point, what Al Gore is doing, I think borders on evil. There's so much misinformation involved in this, and he spread it for years and years and years. And let me ask you this. I asked Mark Morano this question when he was on about a year ago. Do you think Gore actually believes what he's saying, or is he just saying, I mean, is he that stupid, or is he saying it to, I can't tell, to actually get.
Yeah, that's a good question. He may well believe it. There are those that do. But you have to remember Al Gore only had one science course at the university, and he got a D in it. So he's not exactly gifted when it comes to science.
Oh, he
And,
isn't. No.
No, but that's one more course than Greta Thunberg took. Let's give him that. Yeah, so he's
Right.
got a leg up on Greta.
Right.
Yeah, even though he did get a D, at least he made an attempt at learning. He must not have paid attention. But Al Gore is, yeah, I think he's dumber than as my dad would say, dumber than a mud fence.
Yeah, I do too. He's not a smart man. And not only that, if you look at his personal history, he's failed at almost everything he's ever done. I mean, he's the epitome of somebody who's failed upward. But anyway, enough about him. The one other thing that we talked about the last time you were on, which was a thing that really kind of gets to me, and of course your entire coalition is based on this, is the fact that this idea that CO2 is a bad thing, or that it's pollution.
Yeah, and my first book was Inconvenient Facts that was highly successful.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the screen here since you mentioned
tons of books. Just
yeah.
some people I truly respect call it the best top three books ever written on the subject.
Number one
And
bestseller. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
and but my most recent book, in Inconvenient Facts, I I documented that there is no climate crisis. But in my next book here, uh, here in this book and at the CO2 Coalition, we've gone beyond that to not only is there not a climate crisis, but rather Earth's ecosystems are thriving and prospering, and humanity is benefiting from the combination of modest warming and more CO2. Those two things are just almost by every metric you look at, we see that vegetation is exploding. Crops are breaking record year after year after year, from the warmest countries to the coldest countries. The food production is outpacing population growth. That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a
It is.
really, really good thing. And we should celebrate that. And that's what we say. We should, CO2, we should celebrate it, not capture it. They've been demonized. They call carbon dioxide or CO2 the demon molecule.
I
We call it
know.
the miracle
It's
molecule.
terrible. I mean, it's talking about disinformation on a grand scale. They're trying to make this evil, and it's the opposite. Now,
Yeah, it is.
my impression is that we are historically still, when it comes to CO2, a little on the low side, right?
Oh my
Or,
gosh, yes.
yeah,
Oh yeah, we're at
was it 400 parts?
430 parts per million.
Uh-huh.
Historically, over back to the beginning of the explosion of life was 2,600 parts per million was the average. So it's 6.5 times what we are today was the average. Plants love it with high CO2. So we're actually CO2 impoverished. We're in a CO2 famine. We don't have too much CO2. We don't have enough. And plants, it's hard to say what's the optimal CO2 levels. There are two different kinds of plants predominantly in crops that are called C4 and C3 plants. The C4s don't do better. They do better at lower levels. Well, they still hugely benefit from increasing CO2. Uh, Most plants, probably till you get up to 1,200, 1,400, 1,500 parts per million, it's getting near optimal.
Yeah.
And even if you add more CO2, the plants will continue to thrive even better, but just not as much, not as quickly.
Well,
And
forgive me, but in America, most commercial greenhouses run at about 800 parts per million. Is that right?
1,000,
thousand, right.
1,000 to 1,200. So it's 3 times what it is, what the ambient temperature is. And see, the other thing people don't understand is even, I believe it's corn, at maximum, if you look at it, it might be the maximum of 450, 500, 600 parts per million, which we're close to. But the thing is, if you can take your CO2 meter, I've got one behind me here. If you walk on an August day into a cornfield with no wind, and you walk into that cornfield, now bear in mind we're at 430 right now parts per million. If you
Right.
walk into that cornfield, it might be down to 300, 280 parts per million. And the reason is that corn is just sucking the CO2. And because, the corn is probably 8 feet tall, 7 feet tall, and it's just sucking the CO2. Now, the best corn growing weather would be cloudless sky and a light breeze. Because what that light breeze does is mixes the higher CO2 above into the cornfield.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so what they do too in greenhouses, you probably haven't thought about this, why they're adding the CO2. They're doing it not only to get the CO2 levels up, but to keep the CO2 levels from plummeting to really low levels. Because for the same reason, if you have an enclosed greenhouse and you're growing all those plants are just sucking that CO2, and it'll drive the CO2 levels again down to 300, 280 parts per million, 250. And that's really punishing those plants and not giving
Yeah.
them anywhere near enough CO2 to have optimal growing
Well, you
conditions.
brought up the last time you were on that if the CO2 level drops to 150, we all die.
Yeah, that's the line of actually it's when we approach that, because what happens is at higher elevations, because there's fewer molecules that the CO2, there's just not enough for plants to survive. So during really low levels, what we found was during glacial events when the CO2 levels plummet, the high elevations become devoid of plant life, and then there's lots of dust because of that. And so higher elevations, even at higher levels than 150, 160, 170, the high elevations and mountains areas become devoid of plant life. And it's fascinating. It's not a great story. It's a bad story because it's going to happen again at some point. And I hope it's not one. I hope it doesn't come for many centuries.
Yeah, but doesn't it scare the crap out of you that people are actually talking? There's actually like people talking about plans to seed the atmosphere to keep the levels down. I mean, I just find this is like crazy shit. It's like
Yeah, it
what?
is, and it's now. Bear in mind, it's not occurring.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, right.
conspiracy theories out there. Well, they've got these jets. Look
Yeah.
at those. You know,
Contrail.
they're
Right.
not they're
Right.
not they're contrails, not
Right.
chemtrails,
Right.
and it has to do with the high humidity. It depends what the humidity of the atmosphere is.
But
Some
that,
days they.
but that said, Gregory, serious people in government have floated this. I mean,
Oh
publicly.
yeah, yeah. It could be done. Yeah, it could be done. There are different geoengineering projects that could be done. I mean, if you want
Yeah.
to get to take the CO2 out of the atmosphere is one way. You can throw iron out into the ocean, cause algal blooms, which suck up CO2 out of the atmosphere and blooms and dies and goes to the bottom. But all of these have unintended consequences, and
Well,
you
no
better. What could go wrong?
Yeah, yeah,
What
especially
could go
the
wrong?
government running something right.
And actually, we see the result of this with ships going to low sulfate oils and propulsion. That the ships uh, in the oceans, the sulfates would get up in the atmosphere and actually block the sunlight. And because we're using cleaner burning fuels, there's more sunlight now getting through, warming the oceans, and it's leading, they think, to some of the warming is because our air pollution has declined so much. And so, which is that. But the other interesting thing too, that's not really, we're looking into this right now, is that because of increased vegetation, that the warming effect is greatly reduced. So actually CO2 driven vegetation growth is causing cooling. So there's an argument to be made that increasing CO2 is actually not causing warming, but cooling in
Yeah,
some areas.
I've
And we
heard.
see that in the southeastern part of the United States. Uh,
Well, personally, how valid do you think that is? Is that
it makes there are a couple of NASA reports that have been buried, and I think they made a mistake by publishing when they did, and they went, "Oh my God, this doesn't help," not help to spread the climate crisis narrative.
right?
And so what happens is in greenhouse gas warming, the sunlight comes down, hits the ground, is re-radiated as IR rays, and then it excites the CO2 and the other, mainly the biggest greenhouse gas is water vapor. About 90% of the warming effect is from water vapor, maybe 8, 9% is from CO2. And so if instead of re-radiating the IRAs, if it's absorbed by the plants, then it lowers the greenhouse warming effect.
Has it has it occurred to you that almost everything that the traditional maybe this is off topic, the traditional uh, narrative of basically capitalist society that everything's going to hell is always completely wrong. Every,
Yeah.
I mean, we're things are basically better than ever, basically, for all practical purposes. I mean, yeah, well, there's a lot of problems still, but I just think this is almost criminal how people are floating this idea that we have to address something that isn't real.
Well, we're living in the best times ever.
That's what I mean. That's my
Yeah,
point.
they are. It's because of fossil fuels. A lot of that's fossil fuels. A lot of it's that we're growing much greater. We had the Norman Borlaug in the Green Revolution in the 50s, revolutionized crop productivity. That's
Yeah,
part of why we're able to do so much. But the big two drivers now for crop productivity increases are warming. All right, it is warming. It's warmed about 1.2 degrees Celsius in the last 150 or so years. And
right.
that's leading to longer growing seasons, which are very, very good. And that's turbocharged by increasing CO2 fertilization effect, higher CO2 levels, and The third leg of this crop productivity stool is judicious use of nitrogen fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizers are hugely important to plant growth, and they're created mainly by natural gas. You need natural gas primarily to create nitrogen fertilizers. And so nitrogen fertilizers, warmer temperatures and more CO2, and baby, we're feeding the world. And again, our crop productivity is increasing population growth. And that's just huge.
I've heard, I don't know of any legitimate scientist who hasn't acknowledged that the world is warming up. I mean, Patrick Moore pointed this out about when I talked to him about the fact that the last 300 years, the world's been warming up. He also pointed out, which I kind of think is a smoking gun on the whole climate change issue, that the first half of those 300 years, there was no industrialization on the planet, and the planet still warmed up.
Well, yeah, and you look back, the other way to look at things, is it warming? Yeah. Tree line, the boreal forest tree line in Canada has extended more than 100 kilometers further north since 1900. Why is that? Because it's warming. The tree line's moving farther north. Glaciers started receding worldwide in the early 1800s. And again, think about this. We didn't start adding carbon dioxide in earnest to the atmosphere until the mid 20th century.
Right.
So more than 100 years before that, glaciers started receding. And if you go to Glacier Bay in Alaska, I was there with my wife, and in my book, I've got a picture of Julie and me on the deck of the ship in front of the John Muir Glacier. And the captain said, "This is proof of global warming."
Yeah, right. Well, I've been there too. I've seen it.
Okay, but Glacier Bay didn't even exist in the late 1700s because it was full of ice, and then it started retreating in 1780s. By 1800s, it was in full retreat, and 90% of the retreat occurred before the year 1960, before we added much CO2 at all. So most of that retreat. But they're claiming that, look, climate change. It's because of us. No, it's not.
I know,
idiot.
And I have to say, some of the reporters aren't lying so much as they're just lazy. It's like you have to admit, this scientifically, this is a very complex issue. It really is.
And some of the reporters, I don't want to give them too much slack, but they don't know any different. That's all they've ever heard.
That's right.
And they won't talk to me because they're not allowed to, because I'm a science denier.
Right.
These people need to be science, because they'll tell you that the science is settled. There is no debate. They believe in consensus. The consensus of the scientists are that man-made driven global warming is causing a climate crisis. And I'll remind you that Michael Crichton famously said, "Science is not consensus, and consensus is not science." And my favorite quote about consensus is from the great Richard Feynman, Nobel laureate in physics. He said, think about this. This is a great quote. "I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." And that's what we have. We had it in the COVID, didn't we?
Yes.
This is the answer. You dare not question us.
Right.
That's what we have in spades with the climate science debate.
Yeah.
And there is a debate. Yes, Virginia, there is a debate, a strong debate. We are right. They are wrong.
Yeah.
And we can prove it because we've got the science, the facts, and the data on our side. The truth will win out, and the truth is winning out.
Gregory, I don't know if I told you this the last time you were on, and I normally don't bring this up, but it's prescient considering what you're just talking about right now. In about 2014, I was at the Christmas party of a very large national scientific organization. I can't tell you why I was there. I can't tell you the name of the organization. I don't want to I'll tell you. But I'm sitting there, and I'm basically at the bar with you would probably know this.
Imagine that.
Yeah, with one of the premier climatologists in America, and him and I are drinking. I said to him at one point, I said, "Professor, tell me about climate change." And he slammed his drink on the bar and it says, "Yeah, I'll tell you about climate change. Climate change is complete bullshit." And went on this 20-minute monologue. I mean, we're both kind of tipsy, and he is too, about how, the one thing he told me that I really remember, he said, "You have to understand, nobody in my profession can get any money to do anything unless we acknowledge this is true, and it isn't." And at that point, I wasn't on the air at that time, but I've always been kind of a climate science nerd, and I was already starting to question the narrative on this. And when I heard this from him, it's like I went down the rabbit hole. It's like I realized, oh my God, if this guy's saying this stuff, holy Christ, I think there's nothing to it. And as it turns out, there's basically nothing to it, you know.
No, that's
Yeah.
a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
That's a fact, Jim. Yeah, but yeah, it is, and so we're getting that word out there. It's been
What do you
it's been
think? What do you
huh?
think actually changed? Where was there some sort of flip all of a sudden? What do you have any like tipping point moment that actually people started to say, "Oh, maybe there's something to this"?
Well, I think with the Trump administration and the people he's brought in on his administration, Lee Zeldin, Chris Wright at Energy, uh, they're they're getting some of some of this information is getting out there, and they're scrubbing some of the science, the really bad science on this, like the EPA website. I haven't looked today. They've got a really they had it on heat waves. They needed if Lee Zeldin hasn't removed that now, he needs to do it in the next week. Just horrible graph. It showed these heat wave index just skyrocketing, and it says United States heat wave index. And if you look at it, no one would know that it's not the heat wave index for the United States. You have to go way deep into the data to find out that it's not really the heat wave index for the United States. It's heat wave indexes for the 50 largest urban areas in the United States. Think about that. And we know that the urban areas have been affected. Is there an increasing heat waves in urban areas? You're darn right there is, but it
Energy,
has nothing to do with climate change. It has
right?
everything to do with called the urban heat island
That's
effect,
right.
where asphalt, concrete, air conditioners,
A lot
jet
of people,
planes near the airport,
right? Yeah,
all these heat generating, the sun's baking the asphalt, and cities can be 10, 12, 15 degrees warmer than 10 or 15 miles outside of the city. And so we have this, some of the cities are famous for this. Washington, D.C., for example, Delhi in India, Paris, huge heat sinks. And it has nothing to do with climate change, but they use that to promote their failed ideas
yeah.
of man-made climate crisis.
Well, after I had Patrick Moore on the show, 2 weeks later, this is about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, um, the United Nations put a page up on their website. They've taken it down, but I saved it because I just found it amazing. Where they basically said, and maybe you know about this, they said we can solve the world climate problem for $75 trillion.
I could do it for 60. I could do it for 60 trillion. I'm pretty sure. I think we should give it a shot.
Yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with the show Snowpiercer? Are you familiar with that show? Oh, it's
No.
a show. I think it's on HBO or it's on Netflix or something. The whole premise of the show, it's about a world that's been turned into permanent winter, basically nuclear winter. But in the show, it happens because they decided to try to screw with the climate by seeding the atmosphere, and they completely screwed it up.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oopsie. Ooh, hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. So so what's your new book about?
Well, my latest big book
Yeah.
is A Very Convenient Warming.
Right.
And so you can find that. Just go to just two words, convenient warming, and you can find it. Buy it on Amazon or at my website. Convenient warming. You'll love it. It's kind of a sequel to my first book, which was Inconvenient Facts. Again, it's very readable. Lots of great charts and easily understandable. I write it for the non-scientist, but my latest book is my first children's book. It's Chloe the Clownfish Sleeps Well, and it's the first book of our Sleep Well series. And there is a real thing called climate anxiety among our children and
There
grandchildren.
is. Yeah.
And so the premise of this series is that our characters can't sleep at night because they've heard at school, they've learned that climate crisis and man-made global warming is harming them and their family. So in this book, Chloe lives on the Great Barrier Reef, and she learned at school that man-made global warming was leading to great danger for for her family and her home, and she couldn't sleep at night. And so she went to her mother, and they met with a wise old fish that was very wise about this, and he were able to explain what's actually happening on the Great Barrier Reef. And on the Great Barrier Reef, we find that in 2024, we had the greatest. Um, I've just lost our feed here, Jim. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
I can see you.
Yeah, I know. I've got to get to the right. I had a pop-up that came up, and but let's just go on here. I
Yeah.
can't.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you
All
very
right.
well. And
Good.
so they learn, and we're uh, let me just see here. I'm trying to find us, Jim. That's awful. That makes for bad radio, bad television. Okay, and so anyhow, the uh, uh, the we were able to teach in 2024 uh, the Great Barrier Reef had the greatest cover of coral since they began assessing this back in the early 1980s. And so this is I'm going to have to try and find this where we are. Okay.
Well, that's good, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
More
And
coral.
we see too that um, corals around the world love warmth. They do better during warmer temperatures, and they thrive. The hotter, the better. And so, yeah.
Well, I have to tell you this. I find this very sad. I know a young married couple. They're in their late 20s who've told everybody they've decided not to have children because of climate change. And I don't know if I haven't talked to them. I don't know if I want to, because like you, I talked in the public about this, and people say I'm just a climate denier and a conspiracy theorist. They don't understand. So, but I just find that just really, really sad that somebody would alter their family life over something that isn't true.
Yeah, it's beyond sad actually. It's really and they're being lied to about it. And so we're doing something about that because our members came to me a few years ago. They were concerned that our children were being inducted into the climate cult, that they were being taught groupthink and consensus science instead of the scientific method. And so we're trying to get this out there uh, to teach the scientific method to our children and our grandchildren. It's really resonated with people uh, that we're able to that people really appreciate what we're doing and that we're able to do this.
And forgive me, Gregory, I don't even know. Do you teach right now?
No, no. I'm executive director of the CO2 Coalition,
Yeah.
and that's my gig.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so,
Did you ever teach at any time?
no,
No.
I did. I was a petroleum geologist, had a really interesting career. I was at the forefront um, of the shale gas revolution. Authored the first comprehensive paper on the Marcellus Shale, the largest natural gas field in the world. Uh, I was able to travel around the world talking about that. So it's been quite an interesting life. But I was actually no, I never taught. I actually did things, and
Good for you.
yeah,
I did just enough teaching in college to know I hated it. So I never did it either. Let me ask you about the shale thing though, because the the thing that I understand is that natural gas is only contributes 5% of pollution versus fossil fuels, and yet the green energy people don't want to use it. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, are you right about that figure? It's almost completely clean, right?
well, it's very clean gas. It's a very clean fuel. It is a fossil fuel, by the way. Just
Yeah.
coal, oil, natural gas. These are all fossil fuels. It's very clean because it's basically nearly all methane, and methane is CH4. one carbon and four hydrogen atoms. And so when you burn methane, each molecule you burn creates two water molecules and one carbon dioxide molecule. And so you're creating twice as much water vapor as you are um, as
CO2.
you as you are CO2. And so, and there's very little in terms of particulate matter or any bad stuff that comes along with it. Coal, it's kind of a dirty fuel, but you can burn it cleanly if you do it right, and if you can use clean coal technology to do that. And we encourage coal use, and we encourage it in the developing world. The developing world, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, they need very much to lift these people up out of generational poverty that they're suffering with uh, not having access. We call it energy impoverishment. They don't have access to energy. What they need is reliable, abundant, affordable energy. These women are millions die each year from air pollution. They're burning dried dung and wood in their homes to cook over. That could be easily cleaned up by giving them a tank of propane. Bring natural gas into their homes, electrify their homes. They can cook over an electric stove, and we could help save millions of people easily by giving them reliable, abundant, low cost energy.
That um, we've done a lot better job doing this in a lot of other countries, but one of the things that's always bothered me about this whole climate change thing is that I think it's taken attention away from the real problem. And if you ask me and tell me if I'm wrong, the real problem is just plain pollution. Putting dirty crap in the air, political, particular matter in the air. Now we've done a pretty good job of cleaning that up, but
Oh yes,
that's still a problem in other parts of the
uh,
world.
yeah. Yeah,
You
here in the United States, our air and our water are cleaner today than they've probably been since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. In fact, they are, and we should be proud of that. It's so clean that any attempt to get it even any cleaner costs. And we're talking about parts per billion, not parts
right.
per million.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and to try and get that last two parts per billion, it just
Probably
doesn't make
not worth
sense.
the
It's
trouble.
so expensive.
Right.
And it's not it's not dangerous either. They're talking about, there's a lot of bad science out there.
Yeah, there is. There is. But thankfully, you and your cohorts are going to combat in this. So what do you got coming up here? What are you guys doing in the future, near future?
Oh boy, a lot going on. I'm just revising. We've got a
Is your
statewide.
children's book actually on sale right now?
Yeah, it is. Chloe, if you go to, it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
Search for Chloe the Clownfish.
All right.
$7. Your grandkids will love it.
I'm going to buy a couple for Christmas presents. Thank you.
Oh, they would love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. I got $7. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's that's at cost for us.
And
This is our
how long has a very convenient warming been on sale?
a little over a year,
Uh-huh.
and it's it's doing well. Not as good as Inconvenient Facts. A lot of things go into that. We got to, Donald Trump sucked all the air out of the room when it comes to a
No.
lot of the news cycle, as you know, you're in it.
Really?
And but we've got another of the Sleep Well series that's just about ready for release. It's called Foxy the Fruit Bat Sleeps Well, about a fruit bat that lives on the islands of the Maldives and can't sleep because he believes that his island nation will be underwater shortly. And then I've got another one I'm writing called Melvin the Manatee Sleeps Well. And so I live here in Apollo Beach, Florida, and just 3 miles up north of me is the Tico uh, coal-fired power plant, and the manatees swarm in the cold weather. And it's a little cool for Florida right now, so they'll be there. They go to the bay where this coal-fired power plant is, and they survive because they're able to get warmed up from the effluent from the hot water from the power plant keeps them warm and it keeps them alive.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think of nuclear power? I don't remember asking you about this.
Well, it's the small modular reactors are, I think that's the next big thing.
Yeah, it
I
seems
like them a lot.
right.
Fusion, we've got a number of nuclear physicists at the CO2 Coalition, and they all say the inside joke from nuclear physicists is that fusion's always uh, 40 years in the future.
That's right. That's
In
correct.
1950, it was 40 years in the future, and
That's
then
what I've
in
heard too.
1990, it's 40 years in the future, and
Right.
here we are in 2025, it's 40 years in the future.
Of course, they did hit a pretty big milestone a couple of years ago. They finally generated a reaction that actually made more energy than it took to start. So
That's
that
not true. That's not true at all.
it is
Nope.
true.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
why am I
It-
reading this? What's
well,
going
because
on?
they twisted it.
They did?
No, they didn't consider all the energy that went in
Oh, they
to get.
didn't. Huh?
No, 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 no. It was like 200 times as much energy it took to get that going.
Oh
Get
my
that little bit of energy out as to what. Oh
I've been lied
no.
to again. It's
They
terrible.
lied to you and you bought into it. Come on, you know better than that.
I should know better. It's like don't believe anything. It's like it's awful. It's terrible. Well, Gregory, it's been great talking to you as always. I really love having you on because I think everyone needs a reminder every now and then about all the bullshit that's flying around in the world. So, you know,
All right, well, let's do it again.
yeah, your website's at CO2 Coalition. That's CO numeral 2 coalition.org. So
It is in our education site, co2learningcenter.com,
wasn't even
co2learningcenter.com.
aware of that. Good to know. I'm going to check that out. CO2learningcenter.com. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You have a nice holiday. All right. We'll talk
All
to
right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can manage your callers from the call-in studio web
I
interface.
think you can hear that. That's it's a sexy British lady on Collins Studio telling me that we've booted up the phone lines, and we have. You can the numbers down here. 325-225-5546 says 325 call Jim. I want to remind you, you can call at any time of the day or night. When we're not live, you can leave a 2-minute voicemail, and I'd appreciate it if you did that. Like tell me what you're eating, or tell me where you're driving, or I don't know, whatever the weather or something, or tell me I'm an idiot. Everyone, I mentioned this last night. We've gotten more, we being me, we've gotten more comments on my comments about the 3i Atlas satellite that's flying through the solar system than any other thing we ever done on TikTok. And most of the comments say, Jim, it's a comment. Shut up. You're nuts. That's basically what most of the people are saying because they just came out this weekend that maybe I'm not. there's people in the scientific community who are saying no, there really is something weird going on here. Avi Loeb is not crazy. Now I mentioned this also yesterday that I have the feeling that Mr. Loeb has discovered the magic elixir of popularity and famosity, for lack of a better term, because he has been talking up a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, the more weird stuff you say online, the more attention you get, and that's the reason I don't get enough attention, except for the fact for this conspiracy theory stuff that people say I'm crazy about. That's it. So, yeah. So the phone lines are open, 325 call Jim. You can also send me a text message. See the scroll down here? You can text us at 408-458-5088. That's open too. That also is open 24 hours a day. You can send me a text anytime you want. Okay, so while you're calling, waiting for you to call here, I got a couple things I want to talk about because it's a talk show, so that's what we do. We talk. That's the point. I was heartened to see this. You may know Tommy Lahren as one of the most beautiful women on the planet. She's also just a superb broadcaster. It's actually scary. It's scary how good she is. I mean, I've seen her talk for half an hour off the top of her head and not say once. Where me, I don't know if you noticed, I can't talk for like 20 seconds. And the really weird thing is, I was way better when I was younger. And I know no one's going to buy this, but I've come to the conclusion that the reason is because I have so much information in my head now, I can't sort through it in real time, especially when I'm talking to people during interviews. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time coming up with questions. I come up with too many, and then I got to figure out which one I'm going to pick. It's like so. But at any rate, she's like half my age, and she's the 33-year-old Jim Peters. She laps him. I have to tell you. I mean, it's like the one what the woman isn't just beautiful; she's absolutely brilliant. And she said the same thing yesterday that I said yesterday too, even though we were doing it basically at roughly at the same time. And she said that I said that I did not think that Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, should meet with Candace Owens. And she said the exact same thing. At this point, you just want to ignore this shit. The one thing I talked about last night is that I did not realize this. Candace Owens is independently wealthy. I assumed, like most people online, say all this outrageous crap basically for clicks, and clicks make some money. But and that's still true for Candace, but Candace doesn't need the money. So the theory that I've read from people who know her say no, this is all an ego trip for her. She does not really do this for cash. I'm not connected to this situation. I don't really know these people, but that would make sense. But at any rate, Tommy said the same thing I did, and that is, these people are screwing up. They're basically screwing up the information stream, and they should just shut up. Okay, we got a call. I'm just going to take this here. Hey, Think, is that you? Hold on.
I don't know.
Is this you, Think?
Yep, that's me.
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, you're calling from a different number. Is that the deal?
Yeah, my other number doesn't work. I don't understand. Is it okay I call you on this?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. I should explain that when people call up here. So we have this AI system that automatically screens calls. When you call in, it asks you, I think, was it for 15 seconds to describe what you want to talk about, and then that actually that takes the text there and does text to speech to text and prints it on my screen over here. And you wrote, "Hey Jim, this is Think. I think I'm on a weird number." So that's how I know it's you.
Yeah, I don't know why my other number doesn't work though. That's pretty odd.
Well, you have a burner phone or something?
Yeah, I have a few of them. just playing with technology, I just like. Did you know that you could get a phone number off Google and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I knew. But the thing is, I'm thinking you don't want to cop to it. You're being tracked, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm trying my best. Not to be tracked. I should delete my Facebook account and everything like that, but it's just.
I didn't have to worry about that. They banned me, so because
yeah, you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said that you never got paid for that, right? For being banned.
No,
they never paid you for that. Huh?
No, they didn't. No, they said they came back. They said, well, we made a mistake, and they reinstated my personal account, but they didn't reinstate the show's page. They didn't do that. So screw it. What the hell with it? I'm not gonna fight these people. It's like, and I'm sure it apparently was because of stuff I said about climate change, just what we talked about tonight. Apparently that was the reason.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the climate change stuff. That's pretty interesting. What you guys were talking about?
Yeah, he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. I mean, he runs his organization. He's right. There's 200 scientists, and some of these scientists are quite prominent in this organization about the fact that climate change is bullshit.
I definitely think that they're what is that saying? Never let a something go to waste.
Never let a crisis go to waste. Right. Yeah.
Waste. Yeah. And they're definitely using this climate change crisis, and they're taking it to extreme. And that's basically what's allowing them to tax us these super high rates. I mean, on fuel, on damn near everything. It's giving the countries an ability to tax us and do some weird stuff to us. like this whole woke agenda is linked to that, in my opinion.
Yep.
Thank God Trump pulled us out of the Paris Accord. It was the Paris Accord that was allowing a lot of this stuff
That's right.
to go through.
Yeah, but let me ask you, do you think at this point, no pun intended, do you think that they've pushed all this woke stuff and all this extreme scientific bullshit so far that people are starting to rebel? Because go ahead.
Yeah, I think people are starting to get into people are just so dumb, Jim. I'm so sorry. I'm here in New York. Yeah, I'm here in New York, and there's just so many dumb people that they're not getting it yet. I think that I'm lucky that I discovered Alex Jones a long time ago, and he talked about a lot of this climate stuff, how they're using it to control us, to control us more, so that they can push these agendas on us more, mainly the whole tax thing. But I still think that there's a level of people and that believes in this crap. I believe in pollution. I'm positive pollution is real and it's dangerous.
Well, I don't know if I don't even heard during the interview. I even said that the real problem with this whole thing about CO2 is a diversion, because the real problem is pollution. But we've done a pretty good job actually addressing that. So I don't know, but you're absolutely correct. I mean, pollution's real.
Yeah, pollution is extremely real, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to do this to your guest, but
oh yeah, please.
He was talking about the whole nitrate thing in the fertilizer, which is true. Nitrate and fertilizer actually helps grow the crops, and the crops grow quicker, and it helps give the nutrients to the crops to make it grow quicker. However, the runoff off of the nitrate that enters into the rivers and the streams ends up killing the fish by increasing the crops in the water, which is the algae. And when you have an algae bloom, the algae sucks in all the oxygen, and it ends up releasing a whole bunch of carbon dioxide, killing the fish.
You're right. I should have thought of that. That never occurred to me. But the problem is here. Both you guys are right. It does help like you said, it helps the plants grow, but then it also fucks up stuff down the line.
Yeah, we live in a very thin ecosystem, and subtle changes can mess up things. Jim, just allow me 1 minute to talk about my electric car.
Please, that's why I want.
If it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an electric car, a Hyundai Ioniq 5. It's a beautiful looking car. If you ever get a chance, look at it. It's beautiful.
They are. I agree.
So the other day, I pull up my car into my garage, and I close my garage. And then I'm a field engineer. I drive around a lot. And then one of the companies called me up, and then they said, you forgot to do something, and you need to come back. And I'm on the phone. I did it. I already did. And so I was like, I can't go back because you're about 100 miles away from me. So I call my project manager. I'm talking to my project manager saying that the client is saying that I did all. So anyway, after about 1 hour, I settled everything over the phone in my car, and I hang up the phone, and I look at the time, and I noticed I was in my car for 1 hour with it still on, with the garage down. Now, if it was a gas car, I would have died.
You would have.
Does that make sense, Jim?
Yes, you would have died. Right. You're absolutely correct. You would be dead.
Yeah, that's right. So, like, that in Vietnam. Well, when I was in Vietnam, I remember wearing a mask. Like they say, wear a mask because you're driving. It's so crowded. And when I went home at the end of the day after driving to work around in Vietnam, I would wipe my face with a white towel from the hotel. And I remember the white towel was loaded with all this black stuff. I thought it was just dirt. Later, I found out that that's brake dust. That's also the fuel from the exhaust pipes and all kinds of dust that's from the automobiles. So these cars or these vehicles actually emit a dangerous fume.
Yeah.
If I was in my car and my car was having fumes, it would have killed me, like I said. So there is pollution, and it is dangerous. Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, whether this
Go ahead.
Now, whether this stuff is changing the environment, melting the ice and all this, I don't know. But I do know that the pollution is dangerous. If I showed you a video of what I filmed in Vietnam, Vietnam is a peninsula like Florida, like Italy, and it's connected into the ocean. And if you look at Florida, it's beautiful. The oceans in Florida are beautiful, but in Vietnam, it's black. The ocean that surrounds Vietnam is black. It looks like oil. It's so dirty. It's so dirty. And you can't swim in it. The fishermen barely can get fish now. They have to go way out into the ocean to get fish. They can't fish around the shores anymore because of the pollution. It's from things like that nitrate that your guest was talking about, as well as just like plastics, just waste. I've seen a bed. It's just weird stuff.
Well,
so pollution is this. Go ahead, Jim.
Can I ask you? I mean, traditionally, though, the Asian countries, I'm thinking specifically of China. So I'm asking you if Vietnam gets included in this. They basically haven't given a crap about pollution at all. They've. I mean, is that true?
I want to agree. I don't know that much about what the government is doing about the pollution, but I got to tell you, when I was there, and I was just there only a couple of years ago, it was the last time I was there. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It looks like they don't even care. Honestly, it doesn't look like they care. How can an ocean have black water around it? Does that make sense? I could understand if it's a river, a lake, or something. But in ocean, the ocean is so big, it should be clarifying. It should be, is it clarifying, or what's the terminology, where it just cleans the water, because the amount of water is so much that it should be purifying this water, but it's not. The surrounding water around the ocean that's connected to the land of Vietnam is black. It's that dirty. And the water inside Vietnam, like the Mekong Delta and all the little streams and everything, is oil black, where you could put your finger in it and pull it out and it looks like oil on your finger.
Yeah.
It's that dark. And I don't know what it is. It's disgusting.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Go ahead.
If you got a second.
Go ahead.
I got married in 1989 here in Minneapolis. That year, we're newlyweds. We're down at the river, Mississippi River, obviously runs through Minneapolis, and the downtown is on the west side of the river. The east side of the river is northeast, and that's the neighborhood I'm in. And so we went down to the park, but down by the river on the east side, and my wife and I, my newlywed wife, were playing badminton. We got to set it in, and so somebody hits the shuttlecock basically into the river. And I stepped, I'm wearing tennis shoes. I stepped into the river one step to pick up the shuttlecock. So we could, okay, fine, just 1 foot. I didn't even walk in. I just had 1 foot in the river, about 2-3 inches. And I walked in and we keep on playing. The next morning, think that one tennis shoe had disintegrated because of the pollution in the river. That's how bad it was in 1989. It's much better now, 35 years later. It's much better. But in 1989, you're right. You couldn't eat fish out of the Mississippi River because it was so damn polluted here in Minneapolis. So I know what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, it can get pretty bad.
Yeah, look at Flint, Michigan. Their water system in Flint is the prime example of the dangers of doing things wrong.
Yeah.
You know about the issue in
Yes,
Flint,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
It's just, we live in a delicate ecocycle, and if it's not handled properly, I mean, we're going to change how we live. We're just going. It might be we might have to evolve into a different type of being or something like that. But how we live now is definitely going to change.
Yeah, but
so I believe pollution is real.
Do you think in America, though, in the United States, we've kind of sort of solved this problem, and I have to give props to Richard Nixon, who started the EPA, because the thing is, there's no real competitive reason to cut back on pollution. So Nixon said, well, the government's going to make you. And they did. And a lot of people said, well, that's anti-capitalistic. But in this particular sense, in a pragmatic way, it did really save our ass. I mean, Gregory Wrightstone is right when he says pollution, we're way cleaner now than we were 30, 40 years ago. It's not even close. But we're like the only country in the world that's effectively doing this. Everybody else is screwing it up.
Yeah, America is definitely a clean country. I don't care what all these people are saying that America's a shit. It's the cleanest country I know of, and I traveled through a lot of Southeast Asian countries. I was in China, I was in Korea. Korea's clean, but not even close to America, and the same with Japan. Not even close to how clean it is here in America. Please let me say this, Jim. When I was in Vietnam, I walked. There was this one day where I didn't have a bike, and I bought some food when I was walking, and I walked from my hotel to this pool hall. And when I got to the pool hall, the owner said, "I was watching you." He drove past me and he said, "I was watching you walk to this pool hall carrying that bottle in your hand. Why didn't you just throw it on the floor?" And I said, "No, I couldn't find a trash can, so I just carried it here." And that's what most American people do. We don't just go to another country and throw our trash on the floor. We actually find a trash can to throw it in.
Yeah.
Now, I know that it might be shocking to you to hear that because of the mentality that you think American people have, but it's not true. Most American people are clean, and they do things like what I did. Like I wouldn't throw, most Vietnamese people, after they drink something, they just throw it on the floor.
Right.
These bags of plastic, the bottles, they just throw it. They don't care. They don't need to find a trash can to throw it in. But me, I'm just so used to throwing trash in the trash bin or where it belongs that I carried it almost a mile. I carried a bottle with me, an empty bottle for almost a mile until I just threw it in.
And you're right.
Would you have done the same?
I agree. Not only would I do the same, I think most Americans would. And this is the part, I'm about 20 years older than you. I still remember when I was a kid in the 1960s when there were actually it was the government that started a really big ad campaign to get people to stop throwing trash on the highway, because like in the 1960s Americans were pretty much doing the same thing. If we had fast food in the car, we just literally throw the trash out the window while we're driving. It's like and they started a campaign to get people to not do it, and it worked. I mean, you're absolutely right. In 50 years now, we don't do this anymore, but we were doing it in the 1960s, and the Americans were doing that shit, and we stopped it. I don't know if that's that's maybe the positive part of collectivism. You gotta tell me. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I said it on your show, Jim. I think we're dumb, and we need to be told what to do, and it works. If we're told what to do, it works. It's just we're dumb. We need to be told what to do.
I know. What do you think about that? Because that goes both ways, obviously. And you can tell people a bunch of shit too, and they do that too.
Jim, you gotta let me say this then. If you're going to bring up that point,
go ahead.
All right. So the Black community, all right. The Black community has been told that they're bad people for so long that I believe that that's what's causing them to behave the way that they do.
Yeah.
I think that the idea, the media, and all this stuff is telling Black people that they're supposed to be violent, they're supposed to be rude, they're supposed to be like egotistic, and so. I think not all Black people are this way, but the majority behave what the media is telling them how they should behave.
Well, there's also
it's working reverse.
Right. Yeah, do you agree? Do you agree? There's also there's a subtle reinforcement of negative stereotypes too. And it's subtle, but it's like when the Democratic Party tells Black people, that we're going to give you subsidies because you can't support yourself. Well, then you think as a Black person, you think I can't support myself, and that's just wrong. It's I agree with you on this. I had a point, but now I can't remember what it was. So why don't you tell me more stuff?
All right. So I was told that way back in the days when the Blacks were finally freed, like when the Republican Party, whatever happened allowed blacks to be free citizens now, where they weren't slaves, they became very, very smart.
Yeah.
So they got to go to school. They dressed very. If you look at pictures of black people back then, they dressed in suits. They were very well dressed. But then for some reason, not for some reason, the Democratic Party needed them to vote because now blacks were allowed to vote. So they needed the black people, or the black vote. So what they were saying is, in their campaign, is that the Republican Party will not help you. Most black people are poor. That's why black people don't have a good can't get a good education. And that's why black people dress the way they do, like poor. And none of this was true. Black people spoke way back in the days, very highly educated. And they also dressed very sophisticated as well. But the Democratic Party was saying that blacks were poor and that the Democratic Party will help them get jobs and support them so that they won't talk like illiterate and they'll dress better. And then out of nowhere, a whole bunch of black people started talking like in the Ebonics that we know now and started dressing in these weird clothing that is still till now.
Yeah, and I remember what I was going to say, and it's actually, it dovetails exactly with what you're talking about, and that is, it bothers the crap out of me that people think there's racial privilege in the United States, because the privilege isn't racial, it's economic. One of the big problems of the black community is you have generations and generations of people who have never had any real money. So, you know, it's like they don't pass any money on. They're poor, and like you said, then you have the constant reinforcement of the stereotype, and these families, they can't get their shit together. You know, I mean, there is privilege in the United States, but it's economic. It's not racial. You know, that's what I think. I think, you know, and I think this should be addressed. But the Democratic Party, they want to address this made up racial thing because it keeps their voters going. You know, it's like they don't really care. It's the problem is economic, not racial.
This is a big fight that if you want, this is a big fight, Jim. You have the secret hand that's controlling society, telling black people that they have to, that they're, what is it? The word I'm trying to say, that they're nobodies, they're losers.
Yeah.
You have the secret hand telling them that they're this way, and it's hard to get that group of people to break out of that because there's a constant stereotype being pushed. I mean, you listen to black music; it's consistently telling them that they have to be violent, that they have to lead. It's consistently telling. The movies are portraying blacks as like dirty. It's okay for black people to talk about poop and all this type of stupid stuff. It's okay for them to be obnoxious, basically.
Right.
It's okay. The media is saying that the blacks can behave like this.
Yeah.
And to get that out of the system is going to be very hard. To make it popular is going to be very, very hard. But that's what is definitely needed. I was going to go somewhere with that, but I forgot myself.
Yeah. That's okay. I was too. We're both getting older. You know, I did tell you, though, and I think I mentioned this on a previous show when I was talking to you, that I spent the majority of my career in the music business, and I know quite a lot about the legalization, about copyright and that sort of thing. And I kept waiting. It's never happened. I keep waiting for somebody to file suit against some rapper for basically audio pornography. I mean, because that's what it is. It's audio pornography. A lot of it is. But in America, is unless you can't see it, you know, we recognize visual pornography easily, but people don't want to recognize audio pornography. And I thought, well, someday somebody's going to file a suit on this, and some real smart lawyer is going to win. But it's never happened. It really surprises me. Some of the stuff that these rappers say or supposedly sing or rap about is absolutely, truly disgusting. It's terrible.
Jim, when I grew up here, I'm going to rap to you, Jim.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
When I was younger, there was this group called Ghetto Boys. And they had this song called, I think it's called Assassins. And it starts off like this. As I walked the Fifth Ward, I saw this man. He was kind, but he was blind. I snatched his jewelry and ran.
and the song is stuff like this. Eventually, he talks about his teacher. I saw my teacher, Miss Elaine, at the grocery store. I waited by her car. She asked, "Why aren't you in school?" Put my gun up to her head and said, "Get in, you old fool." And then eventually he kills the girl, his teacher and everything. He robs her and kills her. That's a rap song, Jim.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's so uplifting.
Yeah, and yeah, and that's just one of the songs I grew up with in the 80s and 90s.
I know.
A bunch of the rap music was, yeah.
There's thousands of songs like this. Thousands.
Yeah. Yeah. The majority of the songs that I grew up with were talking about if you get a girl pregnant, you should leave her. They're all hoes. Women are all hoes, and women, like it works reverse with the women. They hear in the music that there's hoes and that the man is going to leave them. They automatically think that it's okay for them to be a hoe.
Yeah.
The man's going to leave them, and then it works like that with them.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's like, you tell people they're a hoe enough times and they start to believe it.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. It's here in America.
You're a smart guy. What do we do about this?
Society has to change, but there's a secret hand that's controlling the mainstream, what to put out.
But think. I gotta stop you. Is it secret? I mean, to me, it's like a secret in out in plain sight. I mean, is it really secret?
It's to smart people like you, Jim. It's not a secret. Like, you can see it, and I can see it too. But to the youth, they don't believe it. They don't believe that there's a secret hand. They think it's all like McDonald's and Burger King. It's just a franchise is putting out stuff for you to consume, and if you want to eat it, then you eat it. If you don't, that's what they believe. But they don't know that it's not that way. There is no option. They're being fed the same damn crap through different people, and that they are not realizing it's the same thing. It's all the same stuff that they're eating, basically, or consuming in terms of the media that I'm talking about.
Well, part of don't you think part of the
Go
problem with that is that it's easy to manipulate the young? It's like they're
That's right.
naive.
That's right. I heard that, I forgot who had said it, but they wanted to increase the voting age from 18 to 21. And I 100% agree with it. In fact, you can increase it to 27 or even 30 years old. I think that would be good. It gives people enough time to educate, to be smart enough to be, is it smart or wise enough to make a proper decision?
Yeah.
An 18-year-old is just not wise enough, doesn't have enough experience to understand the world to make a decision. And I think they're easily manipulated.
I've been saying this, and I don't know if you probably don't remember this, because, like, once again, I'm a little older than you, but the voting age was changed in 1972 from 21 to 18, and it should never have been changed. And I agree with you. I don't not only 21, do 25 or 26, It's like,
yeah.
Isn't it ridiculous that you can vote at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21? That's nuts. That's crazy. These people, they're not adults. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say that when I was 18, I was a dumbass too. If you had asked me anything at 18, I would have gave you the wrong advice.
Right.
100% I would have gave you the wrong advice.
I would have too.
Yeah. Nobody's smart at that young of an age. We were still being taught in school. We are still going to school. We haven't worked. We haven't, lived out on ourselves. Most of us were still living with our parents. And so we just never experienced life enough to make an educated decision or educated anything.
Can I be just blunt here? At 21, basically the only thing I could think about every minute of the day was vagina. That's about it.
That's about right.
It was unbelievable. I was just completely consumed by this. Just like, I woke up every morning thinking, God, when am I going to lay next? It's like that was my first thing. And the first thing I thought when I went to bed, it's like, it's unbelievable. And the thing is that women don't really understand this. They understand that men are interested in them. I've said, you guys, you know that, but you don't know how much. That's the thing. And so, yeah, that's a great, yeah, go ahead. No, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree with you. That's basically the motivation.
Yeah, it is.
Back for the youth. That's all that was on the majority of us' mind.
Right.
And we basically moved according to like that type of mentality. How do we have sex?
Yeah.
We have to dress a certain way. We have to talk a certain way to get these girls.
Right.
And that was basically it. We never thought about like society, how to live longer, how to improve, how to buy, how to get money. All that. We were just trying to get sex right at that moment.
And you sure as hell weren't thinking about how nitrates downstream from the river are going to affect the crops. Right. You weren't thinking about that at all.
That's right. That's right. Definitely.
Oh man. I know. It's just the perils of being a straight guy, man. Holy shit, I don't know. Do you know a lot of gay men?
Hey.
I know a lot of gay men. And the thing is, well, first of all, it's two things I've noticed. One thing is they think exactly like straight men, except the object of their affection is different. That's the only thing. And then the other thing is, because you're dealing with someone who thinks just like you, the whole thing's a lot easier. you don't.
Oh,
yeah. That's like, because you're dealing with somebody who has the exact same motivation as you do. Whereas with women and men, straight women and straight men, holy shit, no, it's completely different. You're on two different planets. It's like, my God, unbelievable. In some ways, they have it a lot better. I've said this for many years. I think that the thing with gay men in our society is the same thing with the Jewish people. And that is, I think it's driven by envy. People are envious of them. It's like, oh God, free sex with somebody you actually like, and no one's fighting anything. And it's like, and the Jewish people, I've always said pragmatically, they have probably the most functional religion on the planet. I mean, they're very self-supporting. They value achievement. I mean, it's a very pragmatic thing. And I think people are just envious of them.
Yeah. I know I was, when I was in college, I always thought that gay men dress very nice. And the reason why I thought that was the majority of the girls that I was dating had gay friends. And they always told me that their gay man friends dressed very nice.
Yeah.
Like they had a nice, organized swag, where I was dressing grungy and dirty. And they were saying that these guys were GQ. That was the word. They were calling these gay men GQ. And I was like, okay, this is the type of person I need to be like I need to dress like that. And I need to walk like with a straight back and not hunched over. I'm not going to be flamboyant, but I knew that I needed to be clean like most gay men. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, I would definitely agree that gay men definitely are better looking. Can I say that? Better looking than
you can say that. That's not going to make you gay, man. It's not.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Have you ever been hit on by a gay man?
Oh yeah.
Are you
I'm sorry. You asked, I'm going to tell you. The first time I was proposition by a gay man, I'm not kidding. This sounds like so stereotyped. Sounds like I'm making it up. It was in the shower at the Hollywood YMCA in Hollywood, California. No lie. I'm 19 years old. I'm in Hollywood. I'm visiting, and I'm in the shower at the YMCA. And this guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, do you ever get lonely at night?" And I looked at him and smiled and said, "No." I thought, and it's like, what kind of story is this? Who's going to believe this? It's like, what is this, YMCA? I'm in the with the village people. I mean, crazy. Who's going to believe this? Unbelievable.
Wait. Were you taking a shower?
Yeah, I'm actually shower. I'm naked and lathered up. Yeah, and he was too. We're yeah. It's just, it's just like so.
Oh my God.
It's so stereotypical. It's mind-boggling. I thought, really, can I come up with a better story? It's like, no. It's like, no one's going to believe this. It's like, oh, yeah, no, I've been hit on a lot. No, for a lot of
Well,
people have thought during the course of my life that I was gay. So I think, that's, yeah, whatever. That's part of the deal. But, because, well, look, I'm doing this. I mean, this is kind of talking for a straight man is kind of an effeminate job. It's like what Frank Sinatra said about singing. He said, I have to be macho because, because singing is intrinsically effeminate. And he's right. It is, so I don't know. You tell me. Tell me something I don't know. Please.
I always thought that I was trying to, I think the term that I was trying to be was metrosexual. Is that even a terminology where it's a straight man that,
right.
That's what I was trying to be. I was never scared of gay men. I mean, like I said, my brother was gay. I went to an art school, so I'm surrounded by gay people, and I was never scared of gay people. And I mean, I was never worried about them. I had gay people hit on me at the clubs and stuff, but they weren't like trying to rape me or anything like that. So
right.
Yeah, it's not like the guy that hit on you after you basically told him, no, I'm not gay or I'm not interested. He stopped, right?
Yeah, he just left. That's right. He just left. Yeah. It's like, no, I think I know there's kind of this reputation, or however you want to call it, about gay men, basically raping people. I don't think that's true, because basically I think, as a general rule, I think they have an easier time finding sex than straight men do. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so. I think because how horny men are, I think once a gay man meets another gay man, they have sex.
That's exactly that. No,
there's a progression.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Right, you're talking with somebody that thinks the same way you do. And you're right. And yeah, all men are horny. That's all there is to it. So I don't know. Well,
the building.
Go ahead, please.
The building that I lived at in Atlanta was filled with gay people, and we had a pool outside. There was a pool, and I remember sometimes, like, I would look out the window, and these gay men would just have their sex out right in the open at night.
Oh, really?
I seen guys give each other blow. Yeah, right in the open.
Oh, God.
And nobody really cared. The building was. I want to say that building was at least 60% gay people, and they were just openly about it.
Yeah, I don't know if you spent much time in LA, but I've seen this. I know it's true. There in West Hollywood, there are gay clubs that basically it's a 24/7 nonstop party. You can go there any time of the day or night, and there's guys there. And yeah, they're kind of, they're having sex in the bathroom and stuff, and they're just having a good time. And there's a conga line, but the thing is, it never ends. These parties, they're like permanent parties that are going on forever. Some of these places they've been open. They haven't closed a day in years. So, I mean, that, these guys, they know how to have fun, man. They do, and then, you're trying to, yes, go ahead.
Hey, Jim, how do you feel about the whole P. Diddy thing? Do you think that, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's funny you should, like I said, I spent most of my professional life in the music business. And the one thing about Diddy is that I knew that he didn't make enough money from his music to support his lifestyle. And so I knew something was going on there. I've known that for many years. And a lot of people who are in the music business kind of, because you basically, based on someone's success selling records, you have a rough idea of how much money they've made or are making. And that never added up to me. And I know it didn't for a lot. So I knew he was doing something other than just, selling music or being a music businessman. So I knew something was fishy. That's kind of what I certainly didn't go to those parties. I didn't want to. But I'm too fucking square, I guess, to get invited. But but I knew that something weird was going on. I knew that. So I don't know. It's like, I can't even remember. So no, he's been convicted, right? But he hasn't been sentenced. Is that right? Do I got that right?
He's I don't think I think they're about to sentence him, but he's been convicted of basically hitting Casey, which it was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
The FBI, they tried to get him on all kinds of, like, he was a pimp charge and all kinds of sexual things. but all they really got him for was he hit his girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
Like a domestic abuse. And in all honesty, this is how I feel about it. I think I don't understand why they made it such a big deal. They had the FBI raid 3 of his houses, one in Florida, one in New York, and somewhere else. And they had FBI helicopters like fly in and grab him and do all kinds. You would think he's a multi-billionaire drug dealer, how they handled him. But all it was he hit his girlfriend.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is too, it's very hard. I think his defense was that this stuff was largely consensual, and it's kind of hard to argue with that.
That's right.
I mean, it's like, okay, so these women, most of them, I'm under the impression they could have actually got up and left at any time. They just didn't want to. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, and forgive me if I am, but that seems to be it's like, no one's that, you're not actually being chained up to a wall. If you want to leave, just walk out, but they didn't want to walk out. So, that was his defense. And I think that it appears the jury bought it. But as far as like what you're talking about, see, from an economic standpoint, from the money standpoint, that's the part that I always thought was weird, is because his lifestyle was more expensive than what I thought he made from as a music business. I thought that he shouldn't. Yeah, he had 3 homes, and they're both, they're like worth $15-20 million each. And although I know, it's like there's different statuses of rich. I don't have to tell you. There's you can be $150 million rich, and you can be $5 billion rich, and the more money you make, the more stuff you can afford. So I never thought that the amount of money that I calculated that he would have been able to afford him that stuff. That's the thing that I always, and I know there's a lot of people that agreed with me. I know that privately, a lot of people said the same thing. So that's where I'm coming from.
I would think that the FBI would agree with you too, and I think that's why they did all that type of stuff. They probably were trying to find out why he had so much money, and then they did all that. Plus, I think there was something other than that, like why they were doing what they did. But at the same time, P. Diddy, he didn't just make money off music. He had a clothing line. He had a bunch of restaurants.
Right.
He had this restaurant in Atlanta called John's, and he had an alcohol line, Ciroc.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of other things that he was involved in. So the music, and he was ripping off a lot of his musicians as well. Like he would collect the majority of the royalties and just give them a little bit of money.
Yeah. I know that's one of the things about the music business can be highly unfair, is that you can get people are so desperate to get famous, and frankly, I don't blame them, because the only way you could make money in music is basically being famous. That they'll sign or do almost anything, and generally they end up giving away a lot of their money. So contractually, it's like it's really terrible. I've read. I mean, I'm out of this now. But like I've read that you could who was I reading about who got 1 billion streams on Spotify, and they made $6,000. I mean, there's basically, unless you're Taylor Swift or a dozen other people now, there's really no money in the music business anymore. That's really terrible. There's no, you can't. It's an all or nothing affair. You're either making $100 million or you're making nothing. There's basically nothing in between, which is really unfortunate.
I heard that I forgot what musician had said this, but he said that way back in the days, a musician didn't make any money. Their music was meant to sell the equipment, like the pianos or the keyboards or the guitars. That's why the musicians were needed to sell these equipments for the companies that were making the instruments.
Yeah, that's
so the musicians
true.
were never supposed to make money.
Right. Well, but the thing is, I mean, I'm going back like 50 years ago. I mean, 50 years ago, all the money in music was selling records. So musicians went on tour to promote their record sales. There was really no money in touring. Now it's completely the opposite. Now all the money's in live performance, and there's no money in selling records. It's amazing how that's flipped over the last 50 years. But yeah, that's if you had, if there's a lot of acts from the 50s, 60s, 70s that they solely sold records. They didn't even go on tour. I mean, even the Beatles stopped touring, and they just sold records. There's a guy, and I remember, if you look on his name was Nielsen. He was a best-selling artist, and he never toured at all. Literally never. He just made records. That's all he did, and he made quite a lot of money, and he sold quite a lot of records. But now it's like completely the opposite. I mean, I don't know if you've been following, the Eras tour of Taylor Swift. I mean, they were. It's been calculated that she was making personally $10 million a night, and that wasn't just like that's not like the gross. That was her personal take. And she recently gave her touring company all the people. She gave them. I was trying to figure out how much this was. It was $92 million in bonuses, and I think basically every person got $1 million. I think that's what it was, but that wasn't mentioned. But that was my calculation. So I mean she's making an insane amount of money, just unbelievable. But I don't go to these concerts. Do you think? But it's like now. I mean, my niece even told me that she went to a concert of a boy band recently, and she spent $1,000 on her ticket. That's how much it cost her.
$1,000
Yeah.
for a ticket?
Right.
Oh my God.
That's not unusual anymore. I don't know if you follow this, but that's not unusual at all. It's $1,000. I've heard that for the Taylor Swift Eras tour, the average ticket in the average theater in the average arena was $1,000. That was the average ticket. So you can do the math, man.
God. That's a lot.
Yes,
of money.
It is. I don't understand.
I
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't want to pay $20 to go see a movie. I think that's a lot of
No.
money to go see a movie. But
Right.
like $1,000.
Think. When was the last time? When was the last time you went to see a movie in a theater? When was the last time?
Oh my God! Probably way before COVID. Way before COVID. Like, and I think I walked out of it. It was so boring. There's nothing. Yeah, probably like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
I forgot what movie it was.
Yeah, same here with me. It was before COVID. My wife and I went. It was literally cost us between parking, concessions, and all that stuff. It was $100 for the night, and we don't remember the movie. And all we remembered is it was okay. I don't remember what movie it was. I really don't even remember. And that's the last time we went to $100. It's like I don't remember what it was. It's terrible.
Hey Jim, do you still have movie theaters in your area?
Yeah, we have there. Yeah, not many. There's one prominent one at a local mall, and then there's a couple B-run movie theaters that actually do quite well. There's a very famous movie theater in South Minneapolis called the Riverview, and they sell second-run movies, and you can go there. The ticket's like $2, and they do a really good job. I mean, these are not first-run movies. They're movies that have already been in theaters, but they do a really good job. Like, basically, you don't even have to check the movie. It's an entertaining evening, and it's really cheap. And they fill the place all the time. They do a really good job. And that's an interesting business model. I really think that my wife has always said she could see running a place like that. I could too.
Yeah, If it was $2 or $3, I'm okay. But $20 to go see a movie is ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
And then the popcorn and a drink is like $20 or $30.
Right.
And it's like, what the heck? Easily spent $50 to go to a movie theater and then eat popcorn and have a soda.
Yeah, and then like you said, you don't even remember what the movie was. You don't even remember. So it wasn't that good.
And I got to tell you, the majority of the movies that are out now are just ridiculously stupid. I mean,
yes.
They're full of political agendas in there. It's not a storyline anymore.
Yeah.
It's just political. It's all like political messages in there, subliminal weird stuff now, and it just makes no damn sense.
Well,
no damn sense.
I keep track of this thing. Of the last 25 movies that have been released by the major studios, all but 2 of them bombed. And some of these movies have $100 million budgets, and I can't remember. It's like Zootopia, 2, the one that the animated feature that's out right now, that's doing extremely well. And then what was the other movie that really completely blew the doors off the, I mean, they're only putting out a handful of movies every year that even make a profit. I don't see how this, like, the Disney company is losing money hand over fist, and supposedly the only thing that's keeping them alive is the theme parks. But it's like you can't go to a Disney park anymore. You can't even get in for less than $150. I don't think that's crazy too. I don't see how they can keep this up.
Yeah, the whole Disney movie thing it makes no sense. They ruined Star Wars.
Yes, they did. I agree.
So Star Wars, the first, when J.J. Abrams took it over, it was okay. The I forgot what that's called. Is it the sequel? No, afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, the sequels after the. So the first episode was okay, but then suddenly, this is when the woke stuff came in. For episode 2 or 7 or whatever they call that, episode 6, the second one, they started putting all these weird characters in there that made no damn sense. Like they had this Asian woman in there. They kept talking about, we have an Asian woman in the upcoming Star Wars movie. And I watched it, and I'm Asian. I'm watching. I'm thinking she has a great role, and she has like 2 or 3 lines. And like, well, why did you put her in there?
Yeah. Well, I think that
it made
token, right?
Is that her name?
No. I'm just saying she's the token Asian. It's like they put her in just to put her in.
Yeah. And they did a whole bunch of characters like that. It makes no sense.
No,
I don't know why you would need a minority put into Star Wars. The whole movie is filled with minorities.
Nobody else does
what
either.
I mean? Like aliens.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, aliens and robots to me, the aliens and the robots are minorities. So why would you need an Asian person or it just made no sense. But they had to put this weird woke agenda in there, and it just destroyed it. And all these movies that are coming out are that way, where it's all political agendas with these woke messages, and that's what's destroying the movie industry.
You are absolutely right.
Every movie coming out, and that's why all these movies suck.
Well, you're not the only one who doesn't want to go. People aren't going. Everyone's figured this out.
Right.
You're absolutely right. You are.
Yeah.
I think I gotta go. I gotta wrap this up.
You got it, Jim.
Yeah, it's always been great talking to you.
Thanks for having me on.
I love talking to you, man. Thanks for calling. I really appreciate it. You take care. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That's Think from upstate New York. Love talking to that guy. It's he's always got an interesting opinion. So we're gonna wrap it up. So I want to thank him for calling. Thanks, Think, for calling. Appreciate it. I want to thank Gregory Wrightstone for coming on tonight. A lot of food for thought, and also the fact that like Think was saying, you should get a clue. The climate change stuff is all crap. So yeah. So tomorrow night, okay, let me look. Tomorrow night we got Julian Hagman, Chief Operating Officer of the Caring Professionals, going to talk about some stuff going on in New York State with the legislature there, and Corinne Clifford, who's just a delight and just a really good time. It's a good time, and she's a White House correspondent. She's in the White House reporters room on a regular daily basis, and she gives us a scoop from there. That's tomorrow night. And Thursday, Leslie Corbally is going to be talking about a new book. It's called Progressive Prejudice, Exposing the Devouring Mother. That sounds like fun. Now, but the thing is, she's really a good time. This will be fun, even though she writes about extremely serious stuff. But she's very entertaining, delightful woman. And Santa will be joining us on Thursday night, too. And then we're taking 2 weeks off for the holidays. So once again, thanks to Gregory Wrightstone, thanks to Think, and thanks to you for watching. Wouldn't be doing this if you didn't watch, so I appreciate that a lot. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are, and good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll see you tomorrow night, folks. Take care.